let's just sew whatever.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are making the Aster bag from Blue Calla. I love this bag. If I can, I'll include a photo on the screen of the one I made probably in 2017, probably 2016, maybe around there. So this is the second one I've ever made. I love the shape of it. I love that it's bigger than it looks in the pattern photo. Maybe that's just me, or maybe it's because the print is such a large scale that I didn't anticipate it. But yeah, love the way this turned out. I love this glitter vinyl. It's probably a bit much for the strap, just because glitter vinyl does tend to be sticky. But oh well, we did it anyway. Changes to the pattern that I made are pretty much just the interior. I added 2 zippered pockets and this expandable slip pocket. But other than that, followed it fairly close, I believe. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. If you're not already, I would love it if you would subscribe. So close to 50,000 subscribers, which doesn't matter, but it's just really exciting. So, okay, enjoy. Okay, we are going to start with the straps because I've got a full bobbin. I just got here. Come on. Can we not throw everything on the ground? All right, double-sided tape down the center. I am using 23-inch wide, nope, 23-inch long straps as recommended in the pattern. You could absolutely make them longer or shorter, depending on how you would like to make the bag. I'm really excited to be making this again. I haven't made one in years, and I remember enjoying it when I did make it. I just love the shape of this bag. I think it's really unique. So folding the long raw edges into the center and leaving a little bit of a distance in between. And I'm going to do the grab handles first, and then I'm going to do the crossbody strap. I'm not sure how long the tape will hold this vinyl, so that's why I'm working in smaller sections. I am setting my stitch length to a 5, which is what it's at, so perfect. And then I will top stitch along either side. I always like to start with my open edge first. Oh my gosh, this vinyl is amazing. The vinyl that I'm using is something that I hope to eventually carry in my shop, but you can see it's like this duochrome gold to gray to green. It's pretty. I don't know how else to describe it. I'll set those aside for later. And then we'll work on our crossbody strap. And the crossbody strap is 4 inches wide by the length of the vinyl. And I do have a video of me, no, not cutting out this bag, but I have plenty of videos on cutting and interfacing bags if you are interested in that. Peel away the tape. Okay. And then we can add our hardware to that strap. So I have my 2 snap hooks and a wide mouth slide adjuster. I'm going to start with my slide adjuster, sliding that through the center bar. Up from the bottom and then over the top. Throw it on the ground because why not? This vinyl is a little bit too stiff for the strap almost. It's not bad though. I almost feel like it might be better as like a double-sided strap so that you still have the glitz from this, but it has a little more body to it. Okay, got my slider on. I'm going to grab one of my snap hooks. These are the 1-inch lever snap hooks that I have on my website. I've really been enjoying these lately. Attach the other one. I'm definitely not sure if this vinyl is domestic machine friendly, unless you're just using it for accent pieces, or like I mentioned earlier, as like a double-sided strap, so that there isn't so much bulk. My straps are finished, so we will go ahead and work on the exterior accent panels and strap connectors. Make sure you know which way your front panels should be going. I believe they are wider than they are tall, But to double check, you can always take your bottom panel and line it up. So yeah, if I went taller than wide, my bottom panel would not meet up. So just a little trick if you're away from the pattern pieces, etc., you can always find out that way. Okay, so we're gonna need one of each accent piece on each side. You can use double-sided tape to help you hold these down. This vinyl has such an interesting backing that it kind of grips to the fabric. You can see, that's just my scribbles, but it's very interesting. It almost feels like actual leather, but I know that it's not. Oh, I'm so excited. You might be able to add maybe a little bit more length to this piece. And then if you wanted to add like long strap connectors, kind of like the Harriet handbag from Swoon, or like the Felicity tote bag type thing, you could do that. If you're not a fan of these strap connectors that the bag has. I'm gonna start by top stitching this accent edge. I'm going to switch my stitch length down to a 4.5. I find it's a lot easier to control that length around curves, easier than a 5. And then baste along the side. I am not using foam for this bag, but if you are, I recommend basting your pieces on first and your strap connectors, and then adding your foam, and then riveting through the foam if you're going to be adding any rivets. Otherwise, you're perforating your foam and it will kind of fold on itself in that location. And just repeating that on the other side. If you want to, you could edge coat that edge of vinyl before you start on this, as well as your connectors. Could be really fun. Okay, use that. Ooh, so excited. So next we're gonna need our 1-inch simple square rings, or regular square rings, whichever you prefer. I just didn't want the fancier square rings to take up too much visually. So that's why I'm going with these simple square rings. I'm gonna grab some double-sided tape. I have interfaced these connectors with SoFuse Plus. Just to help stabilize at that fold. I don't want it to perforate over time and come loose. It can happen with these. So what I'm gonna do is fold those top edges in at that notched section. I wanna make sure this is 1 inch wide, looking good. And then I'm going to top stitch along that edge. I'll fold them all first. So these are similar to the Alaine handbag connectors and the Lola. I think it's the Lola. Is it the Lola? No, the Louise. I use them on the Lola. But my Alaine handbag has one that's like right in between these two. It's like if it were Goldilocks, this one is too long, the other one is too short, and mine is just right. Not that there's anything wrong with either of them. It's just whatever look you're going for. Okay. Got those folded in. So I'm going to start on one side and jump over to the other. And I still have my stitch length set to 4.25. I'm gonna back stitch, lift up, and continue on to the other one. And you don't have to sew across the back if you do not want to. If you have a cutting machine, you could use those to cut out this shaped pattern piece. You can always set that up while you're cutting and interfacing the rest of the bag, and then you come back to your cutting machine and it's done for you. I used to use my silhouette a lot more for cutting out pieces like this for bags, and for some reason I stopped. I think I just couldn't get it to work, or maybe when we moved, I don't know. But I'm thinking about buying the 24-inch silhouette to cut out bag pieces. We'll see. All right, so I'm pulling the threads to the back, and you can tie them off. So I just want to snip these apart and just when you pull on the back thread, you can see this loop creates right there, and you just pull on that little loop to pull it to the back. Sometimes when you back stitch, it's hard to get that loop up. I'm just so used to back stitching. Okay. So creating a pile of ones that are done and ones that aren't. Sometimes it is not easy to get that. So I'm just going to trim it. Okay. Sounds like someone's here. It could be my cat. You want to leave your threads somewhat long if you're doing this. Okay, all those are pulled to the back. So now I can grab my square ring and I'm gonna fold this down. I'm gonna grab some more double-sided tape to help hold that in place. Just gonna tape over my threads. Might work, might not. So I'm folding that down about an inch because you still want to have a little bit of that top showing, and that gives you enough room to sew over the connector at the top. If you can't manage that with your machine, you can just sew around the edge and then rivet through there. It's just not quite as strong. So go ahead and tape all of these, get them ready to go. I sewed these on wrong. I'm so mad at myself. Ugh. Hopefully I didn't ruin my exterior fabric. I think I have a little bit more. But yeah, I just laid this pattern piece down and I was like, what is going on here? Ugh, crap. So this one's right, so that's good. But let's go ahead and seam rip this off and hope that everything is okay. Gosh darn it. I should be able to iron away the holes on the exterior fabric. If not, I'll try to come up with something to help cover it. I can't believe I did that. I'm so mad. All right, so now that I've snipped the back off, I can just grab one of my top threads and pull that all out. And then if there's any extra little pieces, you can grab some tape to pull them out or just kind of wipe away at it. Okay, the vinyl should be okay. This seems like it's pretty forgiving. If it were leather, nope, absolutely not. Ah! Throw that anywhere. Okay, so I'm laying this over here so that I remember. All right, I fixed my mess up and we are now going to be adding the connectors. I'm adding another piece of double-sided tape to help hold down that piece that's folded over and stick it to the fabric. So sticking the folded over piece to the double-sided tape that's already there and then adding another piece over top so that when I lay this down, it can stick to the fabric. We're adding the corner of this connector in at 2 inches from top and bottom. So I'm laying my ruler there and just wedging that corner at the 2-inch line and pressing it down. Repeating that on the other side. 2-inch. Put my double-sided tape away. I still cannot believe I messed that up. I'm so mad. Okay. I'm gonna lay that down and then I'm actually going to stand up. My other side, the connectors aren't quite matched up. So standing up helps me look at this as a whole a little bit better to make sure that everything looks straight and lined up evenly. You can kind of check the distance between your connector and your accent to make sure everything's looking good. And then this outside edge should be about 1.5 inches from your exterior fabric, that seam. The distance should be about that. And then I forgot, this is another reason I like the connector from the Alaine better, is the width here is a little bit wider so that if I'm using fancier square rings or even these, I can avoid them with the industrial walking foot width. So I'm going to start across the top to help me hold that in place. And then to avoid hitting my hardware or anything, you kind of want to use a little scrap piece. Just go nice and slow over that. And then I use the back stitch lever of my machine to make sure that I end my needle right where I want it to be. So that it's right in that point. Pull my threads to the back. And repeat that on the other side. And I put my hand on my turn wheel of the machine to prevent it from going too fast. All right, so there are the connectors, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a rivet right here to help stabilize that piece and add a little decor. And I will do that off camera. All right, then I'm going to add my purse feet. I'm really excited to make the lining for this bag. I have some fun plans for it. All right, I have 5 total purse feet. I used Decaville Heavy for the bottom of this bag, and I did increase the seam allowance to be 1/2 inch because I don't want to get too close to that Decaville, because that with this vinyl is very heavy. So I'm gonna measure 1 inch from the edge on all sides. And then find the center. Okay, so that's 5 inches in. And then very carefully, without stabbing myself, poke the holes. Okay, still got it. And then I'm using duct tape to cover up the purse feet and the washers. Really, you can use any color duct tape you want. I noticed Monica from Castine Handcrafted used leopard print duct tape, and I was like, yes! It's amazing. Duct tape, or not duct tape, leopard print everything. I am fully on board with this trend. Turn these to wedge them in there, press flat. And then I like to make sure that my duct tape extends into the seam allowance so that it doesn't come loose over time. Just go ahead and do, I think I'll do 2 long, 1 short, like that. Now, I don't know if it will come loose over time. I haven't ever noticed, but I just like to verify. And then I'm kind of like burnishing the tape on so that it is very secure. And then I'm gonna go ahead and sew this to the exterior panels. And we're going to start at our interfacing and end at our interfacing. I'm going to use a stitch length of 4.5. So starting at and ending at. And this is one of those bags that you don't top stitch the bottom panel. However, I believe you could kind of make this bag with a gusset, kind of like we've done the Snowdrop as a gusseted bag, but it will change the shape a little bit. So just keep that in mind. I'm trying to think, like, if I only top stitch the bottom of the bag from seam allowance to seam allowance, I'm wondering if I could. Dare I? Dare I try? Huh. Because once everything's added, you technically could top stitch the whole bottom. No, don't do it. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, we're not doing it. Time to work on our side panel. I have my faux piping piece here, and I have marked which side is up on the lower panel. Hopefully I pay attention to it. Okay. And then that diamond piece faces down as you're sewing it together and then points up so that it creates this unique shape. So I'm gonna lay that down there. This gets folded and sewn over top here. Oh, I feel like that's the universe telling me not to add this because this is a lot of really thick vinyl, but I think my machine will be okay. Oh, no. That is not the faux piping piece that I thought it was. That is my side strap connector. Where is my mind? I don't think I cut out a piping piece because I knew it was too bulky. All right, we won't add that yet. That goes on later. So there's my arrows. There's my diamonds. Lay those right sides together, clipping those into place. And I believe it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then I will fold this up and I'm going to top stitch along the vinyl. So I've got my seam pointing down to create this nice lip on the vinyl. If you want to reduce the bulk and make it a little fancier looking, you could butterfly open that seam and top stitch along your exterior vinyl and exterior contrast fabric. Okay, I'm gonna fold these in half. and grab my double-sided tape. Taping down the center. Oh, come on now. Okay, and then I think we fold it to be 6 inches tall. Okay, yeah, that seems right. Does it? I guess maybe we fold. Oh, okay. Just fold it down. Yeah, fold it to be about 7 inches tall. So I'm just gonna add a little piece of tape at the top. Grab my D-rings. I'm gonna fold it to be 7 inches tall, which isn't quite enough underneath that D-ring as I would like. It's almost barely enough to top stitch and add a rivet through, but that is okay. You might be able to fold it to like 6.5. I'm gonna fold it to 6.75. Yeah, that's a good amount. That feels better. And then I'm going to add double-sided tape over where we folded it down, just by a little bit. So you can see there's the fold down. There's where we're adding tape, just so I can tape the whole thing down without any slippage whilst sewing. Okay, then this piece is just over 6 inches. So you want to find the center once more. And lay that down. Beautiful. And then if you want to, you can measure from each end. It should be about 3 inches from either side. And then sew along each edge. Oh yeah, this feels very nice. And then I'm gonna add a rivet right there. If you want to, you could rivet down this whole side panel just to add a little more pizzazz. Okay. 3 inches, 3 inches, give or take. time to connect our side panels. I'm still super tempted to figure out like if we could top stitch the bottom panel. Okay, so I'm folding that open, grabbing some clips. Make sure you're attaching the side panel on correctly. So that way when it points up, everything's in the right direction. And we're going to start at that 3/8 inch mark and end on the other side. Sewing next to, but not through, your interfacing. Yeah, I don't think you could. Stop it. Oh, can't do it. Okay. All right. Make sure that's on correctly. And then we're going to fold the sides up and clip in place. You can kind of pinch these layers together so that they fit nicely. Repeat that on the other side. So I'm pinching my finger through those fabric pieces so that they sit very nicely. Why are you doing a weird accent every so often? You weirdo. Okay, now we're going to start at the top edge, backstitch, sew down to meet that point. So I'm going to kind of like fold this on itself so that I can get a nice straight edge. I'm also going to backstitch just slightly over my accent piece. Meeting those threads. And then if you're worried you didn't catch something correctly, just poke at it with your finger to make sure that nothing pokes through. And then I'm going to kind of trim down that seam allowance area at an angle. So you can see, reduce the bulk in that section. And we're just going to repeat that along all four sides. Backstitch at the top, fold down, And just be very careful when you're trimming those corners that you don't cut through fabric that isn't sewn together. I'll switch the camera angle so you can see this a little better. Good day. That is the third time my bobbin has run out at the perfect time. All right, and then we have one more corner to sew up. Technically this one's clipped wrong, but it's fine. So I'm going to squeeze that corner. All right. Again, just kind of poking through those corners to make sure everything is seated nicely. And then I'm going to leave this wrong sides out so that we can stick our lining into it. But I am going to really quick fold the sides together and mark the center of the top panel, so that we can add our magnetic snap closure. Next, we are going to add the magnetic snaps. So I've got one side of the top panel marked out. I'm gonna grab my seam ripper and marking pen and mark out my holes. I think it shows to do this after sewing it together, but I feel like I remember doing that the last time and I accidentally cut through one side. I don't know. I did something, I messed it up. I'm not doing that again. But I think the point of doing it after is so that you can neatly top stitch and sew around, but I don't think I'll have an issue with my machine. You could also use smaller magnetic snaps if you wanted. Because yeah, I don't think I added the turn lock to the one I made 5 million years ago. Okay, so one side is going to get the innie part and one side is going to get the outie part. Push those down all the way. Do not forget to add your washer. Okay, and then right sides together. I almost don't even need clips for this. Glitter sticks to itself. There are instructions for a raw edge if you're using a super thick vinyl that you can't easily turn and top stitch through. Come on. Oh, it's like bending on itself. There we go. There we go. right sides together. And then we'll sew all the way around that. Stitch length set to 4.5. I don't think it would be too hard to also add a zippered closure to this bag if you preferred that. I'm just going to trim down at the curve along the edges. And then flip it through. Something I might try is to kind of warm it up with my iron first. Well, let's see. This vinyl isn't so bad. Nah, it's fine. Plus it's nice and easy to open up. And then just run your finger along that edge and clip this together. And then roll this seam back and forth to make sure that it's not sitting in on itself. Okay. Then I'll clip along the bottom here too. Hold everything together. Pushing that out with my thumb. And then we can top stitch. Gonna increase the stitch length to a 5 because the stick of this vinyl kind of shortens my stitch length a little bit. And if you are working with glitter vinyl on a domestic machine, you may also kind of notice that. So to help counteract it, you can use a longer stitch length. The stick isn't as bad on my machine because it is a walking foot, but if you ever have issues like that, that might help counteract. I did not add any stabilizer to this piece. I just interfaced my magnetic snaps a little bit to help protect them. So then I'm going to fold this in half and snip my center because this is going to get lined up on the front panel. Okay, as we lay these in to the bag, I'm lining up my centers, and you want the magnetic snaps to be facing each other. If you're following the directions like they are in the pattern, they will be facing away from each other, but still pointing out. And then I will baste these into place. This one's shifted. All right. Our exterior is finished. We can work on our lining. I'm gonna go ahead and do my zipper pocket off camera. This is my second tutorial for the day, and I'm kind of tired of describing how to do a zipper pocket, but I feel like you guys know how to do it at this point. All right, I'm doing something fun with the slip pocket that I'm adding. So I've taken my waterproof canvas. I've cut a 6.5 inch tall piece. I'm gonna fold over the top raw edge by about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Just something consistent. I'm gonna top stitch that. And I'm going to be making the cargo slip pockets that were part of the Felicity tote from Bag Stock Patterns. So I have folded this in half so I can see my 1/2 inch fold line. Want to make sure you do this from the wrong side. And take my ruler and lay it next to my center line. And I'm going to fold 1 inch. And then same with the other side. I'm going to take my ruler next to my center line and fold that over. And then slip my ruler out. Come on. There we go. I'm going to flip this over so I can start my stitching the same as the last side. So this will have a raw edge, which is fine with me because I'm going to catch it in the seam with my bottom panel. But then we want to fold this in on itself just to recreate that stitching line. And then I'm going to add it to one of the sides with my zippered pockets, lining up the bottom and matching my center lines. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna flip my zipper pocket up and out of the way so that I don't catch stitching, or so I don't sew through it, because that would be bad. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm sewing down the center line, and then before I get too close to the top, maybe half an inch from the top, I'm going to pivot out and backstitch back into that Y, or to create a Y shape, basically. And that's going to prevent your pockets from falling open too much. So that's what it's looking like on the back side. And then you're going to fold those pockets back in on themselves and line up the side. So if you're going to do this, you want to add 2 inches to the width of the body of your panel. I added way more than I needed to, just to be sure. So you could also do that, but you can see I've got like an inch too much on the side because I cut 4 inches longer than I needed to, just in case. So I'm going to flip this over and baste it in place following the lining panel. And then I will just trim off the excess. And there is our cargo slip pockets. So quick. Took 4 minutes. We're just going to repeat the exterior steps for the lining steps, attaching the rest of the bag. I was thinking about trying to leave myself a larger turning hole because of this glitter vinyl than this zippered pocket, but I don't think I can the way this bag comes together. So I probably just, well, no. I was just thinking like I might be able to sew the bottom onto the bag through the lining. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try it. So I'm starting with my side that has the closed zipper pocket, keeping that same method of not sewing all the way to the edges. Do I try it? No. Okay. No, I'm not gonna try it. It's not gonna give me that much more. Well, it really will. Send help. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna sew this all together. Make sure your zipper pockets are at the top of those. I went ahead and added 2 zippered pockets to this bag. I think this is a great size bag, and I really wanted it to have a lot of nice pocket options. So repeat that seam allowance on the side panel. I'm trying to think if you could make this a drop-in lining. You might be able to. I'm not going to, but you probably could. Okay, and then we're going to join side panels to the exterior main panel, clip it together. Just gonna do one side at a time. excess here. Just so you know, 30% of those little corner bits end up in the trash. It is not many. Okay. Woo. So we're gonna flip this right sides out. And this is where we'll check the bottom of the bag. Make sure everything is attached nicely. We don't have any holes. And then make sure that the bag, the zippered pocket you're turning the bag through is open. But here is our lining. Look at that slip pocket. It's so cute. Okay. Plopping that into the exterior. Hopefully I don't forget to add my nameplate. I already did. Normally I would do it before putting the panels together. Just makes it a little bit easier, but I forgot. And then I'm opening up those side panels, or the side seams, I should say, my seam allowances. Opening up my seam allowances and clipping the bag together. Hello, Ben. And because my interfacing, etc., isn't super thick, I can use the regular hair clips to hold the rest of the layers together on the side panel at least. Go ahead and use the thicker clips along that magnetic panel. And then if you need to, you can use staples to hold the seam allowances together a little better as well. Clean up my clips before we start to top stitch. sounds a little bit like the bobbin might get me. So I'm doing a couple lines of stitching and then double checking. I probably could just change the bobbin, but I will before I top stitch. Then I'm just gonna double check that I caught all of my exterior fabric, any basting stitches, etc. It looks good, so I'm gonna turn this bag. Very exciting. I'm scared. There's a lot of glitter here. Not a lot of hole to turn it through. Trying to just get a corner through first. And kind of folding the bottom of the bag in on itself. Trying to think of how I could turn this bag through the lining easier. Unclear. I think I just gotta stick with it. This is going to be a great test to see how well this vinyl does when you turn the bag. Once you start to see your zippered pocket lining fabric right side out, you know you're getting close. And you want to turn the bag fairly quickly so that any of your creases aren't permanent. We did it. So I'm going to press the bottom corners. Oh wow, this vinyl turned very well. I don't see any creasing yet. Pooh! I don't see like any. Which is beautiful. Got this little thread here I can hopefully get. All right, we did it. Just gonna double check along the top edge of the bag. Make sure I caught that magnetic snap panel. And roll the seam in between my fingers and clip together. You really want to make sure that seam there is nice and flat because you're not going to be able to clip it together. So I'm just applying pressure with my fingers there. I'm gonna press my lining into the exterior of the bag. You can see this corner looks a little funky. So before I sew up that zippered pocket, you wanna make sure that you've pushed out all of your corners as best as you can. Looks good. So then we can sew up the zippered pocket. If you want, you could top stitch. Oh, I did not add a nameplate. We got it. Okay, which side looks better? And any of this wrinkling that the bag has, you can warm up your ironing board and then press your fabric on top of that. I'll add it to this side. I think I want to add it kind of at the top, so I'm going to do that off camera. Okay. I'm going to check my bobbin. Yeah, that would have been maybe just enough. But I'm not going to risk it. I made 4 bobbins total, just in case, but I think 3 has... I feel like 3 bobbins for bags is usually perfect. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this bag. Look at the pockets. Okay. I am going to start on this side panel here. Stitch length set to 4.5. I'm gonna go ahead and increase it to 5. And we'll just go nice and slow. Okay, as I'm here, I've got my hand underneath, making sure to massage the seam on top of itself, so that I know I'm catching the lining and the exterior edge. Leaving my needle in. Pulling my threads through to tie them off, and then we just need to attach our handles. All right, I am a little worried that I'm not going to be able to rivet through the handles because this vinyl is so thick. Well, I wouldn't even say it's thick, I would say it's just dense. No, I should be able to. I should be able to. It just feels really dense. I guess that's the best way of putting it. You could absolutely add a zipper panel to this bag. It would just add a little bit of bulk at that top seam. But I don't feel that this is an unsafe bag. Like those two magnetic snaps are enough of a closure, I think. And then if you added the turn lock or flip lock, you would have even more closure. And then the sides kind of angle in with that stabilizer in place. So really it's up to you how you want to let this bag keep its shape. Oh, the perfect length handles. Gorgeous. So I'll go ahead and rivet these handles off camera. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is the Aster bag from Blue Calla. All the links will be down below in the description box, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. Also, this headband came with a brush I bought, and I'm pretty sure it's for small children.